Emily and Daniel, a married couple from New Jersey, were looking for a new home. They found an old Victorian mansion online, big, beautiful, and unbelievably cheap. The real estate agent smiled and said, "The house is old, but it has a soul of its own." Emily loved its antique charm. Daniel, though, felt something was off. The air inside was too still, too quiet. On the very first day, Emily noticed faint whispers behind the walls. They sounded almost human. She laughed it off, greater than probably air trapped inside. But that night, as she lay in bed, a soft voice breathed right next to her ear. "Welcome back." At exactly 3:07 a.m., Emily woke up to a dragging noise downstairs. When she went to check, she froze. The dining table and chairs had moved across the room. She woke Daniel up in panic. But when they came back down, everything was perfectly normal. "Greater than you must have been dreaming," he said. Emily wasn't so sure. The next day, Emily drew a floor plan of the house. Each morning, she'd find small differences. A wall had shifted, a hallway stretched longer, a door appeared where there wasn't one before. Daniel laughed. "Greater than old houses settle, Em. That's all." But deep down, Emily knew the house was alive. At the top of the staircase hung a faded portrait of a Victorian woman. Underneath it read, "Eleanor Hayes, 1874. Every day, the woman's eyes seemed slightly different. Sometimes they looked at Emily. Sometimes they followed her. One night, Emily swore the wall behind the portrait was breathing. Emily set up cameras throughout the house. When she checked the footage, her blood ran cold. Rooms shifted positions, walls expanded and contracted, and in every frame, a dark shadow appeared right before the house moved. The whisper returned, "Greater than make space. It's feeding time." The next morning, Emily met the old lady next door, Mrs. Randall. When she mentioned the mansion, the woman's face turned pale. "That house was rebuilt 3 times, she said. "Every family that lived there vanished." Then, almost in a whisper, "The house remembers who lives in it." Daniel refused to believe it. "Greater than, we can't just leave. We spent everything we had." One night, Emily found a door that hadn't been there before. Inside was a room full of mirrors, on the walls, the ceiling, even the floor. Each reflection showed her slightly differently. One reflection smiled back, even though Emily didn't. "Greater than, you don't belong here," the reflection whispered, and blood began to run down its face. The next morning, thick red liquid dripped from the walls. Daniel said, "It's just rust. Don't overthink it." But when Emily touched it, the smell was metallic, like blood. And behind the wallpaper, she could feel a faint heartbeat. The house wasn't haunted. It was alive. For days, Emily had avoided the basement, but now she had to know. When she opened the door, the air was freezing. On the walls were old sketches of the house, each one drawn slightly differently. The final drawing was labeled, "Greater than the house moves to feed." That night, the entire mansion came alive. The floors cracked open. The walls pulsed like lungs. Daniel ran toward the basement. "Greater than, I'll fix this," he shouted. Emily screamed, "Daniel, don't go down there." But the basement door burst open and a red mist swallowed him whole. Emily ran for the exit, but the doors no longer led outside. The kitchen now opened into a bathroom. The front door led back into the bedroom. Every path turned back on itself. "Greater than, let me out," she cried. And from deep within the walls, the house whispered, "You came home." 2 weeks later, police entered the mansion. It was empty, but one camera was still recording. In the footage, the house shifted and breathed. Then the wall beside the camera began to open, and inside it was Emily's face, alive but trapped in the plaster. Her mouth moved slowly. "Greater than, don't buy this house." 6 months later, the mansion was back on the market. The listing read, "Newly renovated, perfect for families who love vintage charm."